Hey y'all, so welcome to the Pinnacle Outdoor Traditions Trophy Room. Yay! Show y'all here. These, right up in here, these are some of the biggest bucks that I have shot here in North Carolina. But today I'm here to talk about that guy. That is Junior. And Junior, if you followed the channel, is a buck that I had some cell phone footage of like 10 days ago, and here it is, February 25th, and he's on the wall. Junior has a very unique story, and I would like to take some time, if I can. I'll try and make it as quick as I can. I do know I'm a rambler and a storyteller, but I'll try and make it quick and concise. But I got to share the story with y'all. I want to share to y'all the craziness and the experience that I had with this guy, because it's a very unique story and one not a lot of hunters have the opportunity to share. So, story time. We're going to share some hunts and some trail cam photos and kind of share with y'all the story of Junior. To tell the story of Junior, I actually have to start in 2017, and that's when we first bought the property, because his name comes from the fact that he has the same frame, same rack as a buck that I first started chasing when I first bought the property in 2017. And it was a buck I named Tuning Fork. Tuning Fork was one of two bucks that I was after. He was a big mainframe 8-pointer, real wide, long sweeping beams, had a G2 and a main beam that split and kind of came out, and it looked to me like a tuning fork, so that's the name I gave him. So Tuning Fork was running with a buck also called Fish Hook. Fish Hook had a brow tine that was broke and kind of crooked. Fish Hook is above my desk. He sits right above my computer. He was the first big buck I shot off this property. Unfortunately, when I shot him, it rained like 5 minutes after I shot that deer. Very little blood. Was unsure of the shot. I was still very new and inexperienced, and we weren't able to find him. I found him that following January, just the skeleton. He was dead, and was able to finally put my hands on him. Tuning Fork, however, he escaped me. Eventually, that deer got shot by my neighbor, and he was a big, solid, wide, mainframe 8-pointer. And that was the end of Tuning Fork. Last year was the first year I identified this deer. And he had the very same swooping G2s and main beam that Tuning Fork had. So he became Tuning Fork Junior, or Junior. 2024, I had some nighttime pictures of him on trail camera. He kind of just showed. At that stage, I identified him already as a mature buck at the 4.5, 5.5-year-old. The antlers were great. The body I was a little unsure of in terms of his age. I hadn't watched him grow up or anything of that nature. I didn't identify him until 2024. He was one of those deer, it's like, I'd like to see him. He could definitely be a target. Kind of judge him on the hoof sort of deal. On the fence, could be, couldn't be, but I had other target deer I was chasing at that time, and so I never had to run in with him. It was never a problem. It's like, sweet, he gets to live, and let's see what he blows up into next year. So beginning of the 2025 season, this guy shows up, and he blew up. He was big. He was massive, and he came in velvet before season started, running around with a big 10-pointer that I had pictures of from the previous season as well, that I actually wanted to let go. I wanted him to make it through the season in order for him to blow up and become something bigger, and trying to get that same sort of explosive growth and genes that Monster gave when Sticky was able to shoot him. So I watched the 10, I watched Tuning Fork. They 1 and 2, they were just right then and there when they showed up. It's like, yep, you're a green light, you're a go. By that stage, they had to be at least 5.5 years old. And it's like, okay, yeah, we're good. Let's get after them. The 10-pointer, I never really got much in the way of trail cam photos of him. Once he shed his velvet, he pretty much disappeared till like muzzleloader season, sort of at beginning of November time frame. He appeared back up at night and then disappeared again. My guess is that he shifted his home range, because this guy was top dog. He was the dominant buck. He was the bully. You could tell when I would look at trail cam photos of him, he would come in, the other deer were just gone. There'd be 2-3 smaller bucks or does or whatever around. You could see them, they're at high alert, and then just boom, they're out, they scatter, and he just comes moseying in. And I mean, he's a tank. And I would share photos of him with, the other guys who hunt this property, with my friends, going, oh my God, this is a 130-inch, 8-pointer. This is a big deer. I mean, to get 130 inches on an 8-pointer is really, it's something. I mean, this guy right over here, that's Inspiration. That was from the 2024 season. I shot him. He's a 12. He was a big, mature 12-pointer. Didn't have much mass, but he had just points going all over the place. And I mean, I scored him, even with his broken tines and stuff, he was well over 130. He was like 136 or something like that. And it's like, this dude fits inside the rack of this guy. It's like, this is a big buck. So I was greenlit. I'm like, let's get him. Let's get after him. He was number one. And I actually tried several hunts, because he was favoring a stand that I have way back in the back of the property. That's a quad pod stand. It's where the bucks seem to like to congregate. It seems like it's like coming right off their bedding. I have a gun stand set up in there. So it's a 90 to 95 yard shot. It's a quad pod. It's real nice. It's comfortable. I have been problems though successfully bow hunting that saddle. The way it lays out, and the way the trees that are big enough and in the right spot to, successfully hang a stand, have no cover, and the trees that have all the cover, I'm coming across like deer trails and things to get to them. So I'm still working on trying to figure out the right tree to bow hunt this area. But in my attempts to chase this guy and to get this guy, and I was hoping to get him with a bow. I really was. I mean, he was early season, consistently patterned, even after he shed his velvet, was still hitting a spot and hitting it in the last like 10-15 minutes of daylight. So I went and I scouted and I looked at the wind and I took my time and I found this tree that, I thought this could work. I put the tree saddle up in there. I'm really tight and tucked into a bunch of like split trunks that come off of this tree, and a lot of good cover, good back cover. I'm sitting right at the edge of the ravine. I knew my scent would dump down with the thermals in this real thick ravine that cuts down into this creek bottom. I'm like, as long as the deer don't come up from below me along that creek bottom, as long as they come in from that northern spot down to the bait pile and travel the saddle that I'm sitting in, it's like, we'll be good. And I actually did have a really good hunt that I'll show you a little bit of. Y'all, there's a full video of it, but it's a really cool hunt because I had this really young but skittish 8-pointer come out. Similar genetics too, real wide rack, but he didn't have any sort of length or mass or any of that. And it was cool. It was successful. I mean, it was great. I bow in hand, could have drawn back, could have shot an 8-pointer with my compound bow, first one I would have shot, and, out of the saddle, but it wasn't the right deer. And I wasn't going to shoot that deer because it wasn't Junior. So after that hunt, I hunted, I think, that saddle one more time, got busted. A deer did come down through the creek bottom below me. So I got busted. I said, okay, I'm done. I don't want to put any more pressure on this spot because I know that during gun season I can hunt here. I also know during gun season is when our rut happens, and this area is just filled with activity. It's nothing for me to sit here and see 10-15 deer in a single morning sit, and I'll have a gun to reach out. So Junior's just going to have to wait till gun season. And at that stage, he had been mostly nocturnal. You know, I was watching him still on trail cameras. He was all over my property and the Pyramids, which is the attached property that I have permission to hunt on. But, I mean, I could, like, legitimately pattern him to a pretty tight circle that was maybe 200-300 yards across. And I started watching him as more and more bucks were getting frisky and getting the testosterone built up. He'd start fighting, man. And, I mean, just to watch his antlers lock in with a smaller buck's antlers, because compared to him, every buck was smaller, was insane. I mean, he'd lock horns and he would just engulf the other deer. And it's like, oh my God, I want to shoot him so bad. But I hadn't had any luck. I hadn't, you know, he either had me pegged or patterned or whatever, but I did not have a run-in with him at all. So muzzleloader season starts. I get into the quad pod. I start hunting also in the Pyramids area because he started favoring that area a little bit more. And I did end up shooting a buck there. And it's a buck I shot during muzzleloader season. This crazy 8-pointer I'd never seen before. I mean, the rack came real tight. It was like only 10 inches wide, but it covered each other. I mean, like the main beams literally crossed each other. He had a tine that got bent or twisted or something and grew over the main beam. I mean, just so full of character. He was one of those deer. It's like, I don't know you. I don't care. Yeah, you're going on the wall. I want to shoot you. And so I did. Come to find out, I actually have kind of a neighbor. He's about half a mile on another piece of property on a side road over here. He had that deer on camera, which I thought was really cool. After that, you know, I had one buck tag left with the idea that I'm taking only a trophy deer. This guy, number one, he was the buck I wanted to shoot here on this property. Now, Brother Robert's property over at Hanging Rock, there were about 4 or 5 older mature deer over there that I absolutely would have shot. Any one of them showed up, I'd have taken that shot. And by the time muzzleloader was done, gun season's coming in, I had wanted to go over and hunt at Brother Roberts. I didn't. I had problems with trail cameras. I didn't have cameras for like a 2-week period of the muzzleloader season. Now I got to go over and sit because it just feels like, you know, I mean, if the rut's busting off here, it's busting off over there. There's a lot more bigger, older bucks over there. I need to get over there, but for family reasons, I couldn't. I had some obligations. There were some health things going on with my family around the Thanksgiving time that I needed to stay here at the house. I could still hunt, but I needed to be close. That way I could just get and go, you know, if the need arose. I hunted a bit back over at the Pyramids because I was still seeing deer there. And I had this run-in on November 24th with this buck. And I'm going to warn y'all now, the video you're about to see, the footage you're about to see is kind of gross and gruesome. But, you know, life can be unpretty at times. You know, it's gross and gruesome. And it shows y'all how hard these bucks fight. And I mean, they're not just tickling horns and playing with each other. They're going to the end of the fight, whether it's submission and runaway or death. And this buck, you know, I haven't seen him since, but this buck, I mean, y'all, he's dead somewhere. Let me show y'all this footage. So yeah, I mean, I saw red in his mouth and thought he just bent down, picked up an apple and walked off like a pig with an apple stuck in its mouth for the luau. And I even had trail cam photos of this deer face just dangling. I mean, he got ripped. Looked like right up that jawline. Just the entire part of his jaw and face was just, it was just insane. That same night, maybe a night later, I had trail cam pictures of this guy. and his face was so busted up. He had this huge swole spot right here on his forehead. His nose was crooked like a boxer's break. Busted up head, busted up nose. I mean, he looked like he had a fight with a cement mixer, but it looked like he won. And my guess, my assumption is that him and that other younger buck got into a fight, because that's also about the time he broke that tine right there. And they got into this fight. He won. That's my guess. You know, because he showed up with injuries of a major brawl. About the same time this deer shows up with half his face ripped off. His face is busted up and swollen. To the victor goes the spoils. He was still top dog. And I was even more enamored with this buck, going, oh my goodness, I really want to get him now. Especially the face all swollen, his nose broken and crooked. That would make just one heck of a mount. You know, I mean, tough, big, warrior buck. Yeah, let's get him. At this stage, still no real daylight photos of him since September. And I still needed to hunt Brother Roberts because there's big bucks over there. I got deer over there I'm chasing that I know for a fact are 8 years old. Going, what do I do? Well, let's give this spot a break. Let's go to Brother Roberts' house and let's try and get some of those bigger bucks. Found out that the oldest, the biggest, the number one target at Brother Roberts was out the very day I wanted to go and hunt him, but decided not to stay home for the family's sake. That one hurt, I'm not going to lie. I don't regret at all putting my family first. Don't misunderstand me for a second. I'll do it every single time. But, you know, still, it's like my instincts told me to be there. I was right. At the very least, I can be vindicated going, I was right. So at Brother Robert's house, I started sitting on this hillside. And so, I mean, for like 2 weeks straight, I think I sat there morning and evening every day for 2 weeks. Never saw a single deer. Oh, goodness. And I hunted there, like I said, for about 2 weeks, from like the November 25th, 24th, something like that, through December 5th. I know that for a fact because that's the day I shot the bear. Can't freaking tell. It was crazy. I was not expecting that. You know, I'm praying hard, I'm hunting hard, I'm expecting, you know, a blessing from God, and it was not the one I thought it was going to be. And my inexperience in bear hunting showed in a big, big way. I learned a lot. You know, after all that went down, me and Jody spent 3 hours searching for this bear. Yeah, I said, well, this property needs a break. So let's go back over to my place. You know, I hadn't hunted there in like 2 weeks. The quad pod spot should be on fire right now because this is, you know, the best spot late season to hunt. The deer are all over the place over there. Let's see if we can find Junior. Junior's got to show up at some point in time. And so I went and I hunted this spot and started like December 6th that evening. Does, younger bucks, watching, waiting, looking for Junior. That was it. That was what I was out after. December 8th, we had snow coming down. It was a high pressure snowy day and it was legit snow. Nice dusting over everything. Things were turning white. And, you know, it's a rarity for us here in North Carolina to get snow when it's actually deer season. That does not happen very often. So that evening I went and I hunted. And sure enough, the deer were out. They were moving. I had a lot of run-ins that evening. Does, young bucks, the whole nine. And there was, right at sunset, it was still cloudy, still gray, still windy and snowy. I had these bucks come out from the area I expected. He was one of them. Problem I ran into, and the reason I didn't shoot him that night is I didn't know it was him. With the clouds and the way the tree cover and stuff was in that area, everything was nice and white. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to see the deer. It's going to be awesome. And I saw this buck coming down against the white, past all the laurels, going, yeah, buddy. As soon as they hit right there at that bait pile, which is just in a beautiful spot, because I mean it's right where everything converges, right off one of the main trails. That spot has a bunch of pine trees above it, and it was dark. I mean, black dark. I could not identify which deer it was. I just knew that there were 2 bucks down there, and one looked way bigger than the other deer. My suspicion at the time was that it was one of those like 3.5-year-old broke off, deer that I had already passed on several times, and that the other buck was just like a spike buck or a little split fork kind of guy or something, just because of the body size difference between the 2 deer that I could see. And I tried my best. I got like a 50 millimeter objective on my scope. I could see that there were deer down there. I just could not identify the deer. And I'm going, at one point in time, I had a broadside shot at the bigger of the 2 deer going, but I have no idea what I'm shooting at. I've only got 1 buck tag left. I know it's a buck. I can see a frame. I can see the outline, which means I can put it where it needs to go in order to drop this deer, but I don't know what deer it is. A couple days later, I pulled trail camera photos, and sure enough, it was him. Yeah. He was 90 yards away. I had 15 minutes of legal light left, but because I couldn't identify him, I couldn't take the shot. It's like, right there. I knew it. I knew this was the night. I knew this was the spot. Yeah! Can't see him. No! It was that situation. And so, this deer, he was proving to be quite the adversary. He was an old, mature deer who knew. He knew how to hold those edges. He knew how to use those shadows. He knew when he was safe and when he wasn't. I hunted the rest of December, had a few run-ins with some nice does. It's like I didn't really want to put in the work to just shoot a couple of meat does. I didn't feel like doing it anymore. Like the draw was done. I was worn out. I was burnt out. It's like, if I don't want to shoot a deer for the meat, then I shouldn't be shooting the deer, period. It's like, I'm done. And I said, well, he's somebody to chase for next year. He's only going to get bigger, and he's the one that got away. That happens. It happens a lot when I'm deer hunting. I've been looking since middle of January, I'd say, shed hunting. I'd looked a lot for that 1 buck that had his face ripped off, and started really looking hard the beginning of February for this guy's sheds right here. Trying my best to scout, learn his routine, his pattern, learn, where exactly he's been bedding, and just learning more, period. And it was February, just like I said, about 10 days ago. I was in my living room, walking by a window, and I look out the window across the yard at this lean-to, this old lean-to that used to be an old tractor barn, across the yard, and I just saw the silhouette of a deer's head and the frame of the rack coming up and around, and I'm looking, going, no. You deer hunt enough, you know that there are bushes and trees out there, especially in like those shadowy low light times where you go, oh, that's a deer, and then you find out that's a branch. And that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, nah, it's got to be a branch. I'm crazy. I'm losing my mind. So I go and grab the binoculars and look. There he is. The temptation is so real. Oh my goodness. A suppressed 308, no one would ever know. But I would. Wow. Shush, dog. Y'all look at that guy right there. Whew. Now that is a good 8-pointer. 150 yards from the house in the light of day. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning, and he is standing up, getting up out of his bed from my firewood pile. That is a 130-inch, 5.5-year-old 8-pointer that I chased the entire season. And that's my wood pile. Good night. 120 yards from the house. I guess I don't need to look for his sheds. He's still got them. That deer has got to be 20 inches wide. And like I watched him for 45 minutes that morning. Filmed several different videos. And I watched him get up and move from that firewood pile, coming out, you know, sun glistening off of him, the whole 9 yards, start feeding his way through the corner of the yard. So at first, he looks sickly, like his back is arched, his tail is kind of tucked between his legs and flickering. You know, the coat was all matted and everywhere. But then again, I've seen deer, you know, getting up out of their bed, and that's just, you know, part of fur and hair. In the original video, before I cut and edited it for time, I even made the comments like, he don't look good. He don't look right. He looks kind of sickly. And I had several people comment when I uploaded that video on Facebook that he looked sick or injured. And I agreed with him. And like I said, I watched him for 45 minutes. I took several videos. When he first got up, he was moving stiff. He was kind of favoring one of his legs, it looked like, but he was real stiff and slow moving. But the more he started to move, the more he started to eat, the more he started to browse, his movements were getting faster, more fluid. He was acting healthier. He was acting a lot better. And I'm like, okay, you know, he's not too bad. And it's like maybe he's old and stiff and just woke up. He's run down from the rut. Hopefully, you know, he'll be all right. You know, deer are tough animals. You know, I mean, just a few months ago, I saw a deer with his face ripped off trying to eat at the bait pile. Oh, and you know, any one of us, our face gets ripped off, we're pretty much done at that stage. So I watched him for a good long while make his way across the yard, and eventually he went into the woods behind an old barn that I share with my neighbor. That it's a big livestock barn. So I grab my binoculars, I run outside, I can still see him, and I decided I gotta try. So I made my way across the yard, you know, tiptoeing, stalking, just blue jeans, work boots, camo jacket, binoculars in one hand, had the cell phone on my hip, silent, so that way it didn't go off, and I snuck and got within bow range. I mean, I'd say he was probably somewhere in that 30, 35 yard range of me as I'm inside the that barn there, and I'm able to stand there and watch him. I could see his head moving. I stalked within 40 yards of this deer or less. I mean, well within that 40-yard bow range, on the ground with this buck as he's just going to town, raking and eating. And it was so cool, and I wanted to get a video of it. But I have my binoculars in one hand. I'm trying to be quiet. I'm trying to get the phone out and get video, but you can't really see past all the thick stuff. And the cell phone camera is only going to show you whatever it first captures in terms of, you know, like focus. So it's like I was never able to get any good video of that. And it's one of those things, it's like, it sucks for y'all. I hate that for you, but it's a memory that I will always cherish, because it's like, you know, season's over. I prayed hard. I wanted this deer. I chased this deer. I had a run in with this deer. Didn't happen. Here it is after season, and I've got everything I asked for. Bright daylight, full-on activity, 45 minutes, being able to film it, being able to narrate it, watching him go in, sneaking down and stalking within bow range of this buck. I had the thrill of the entire hunt that I was looking for with this deer after the season. The only part that I did not get was the chance to shoot him. I didn't get to pull the trigger. And so, I watched him. He disappeared. I was excited. I put it on YouTube. I put it on Facebook. I shared it with everybody, broke it up in a couple different videos. And then 2 days later, I was walking the dogs, and I was walking along this ridge that looks down into this spot that I call the clearing. And both the dogs, when we were coming across the top of the clearing, coming into the woods and starting our walk, they kept wanting to go down the hill into the clearing there, and they kept acting like they were on a scent, but they were unsure of. And, I watched them for a while, let them sniff around for a while, but never saw anything that made me go, yeah, there's something we need to go investigate. I didn't see anything, so I'm like, let's go. Coming back through, headed back to the house, I happened to look down in the clearing, and that's when I saw him. The full fur, back of the deer, big rack, laying dead, chewed up already by coyotes. And I'm like, no. Oh, Lord, no.
Okay, y'all. Out here with the dogs. There's one. There's the other somewhere. There he is. And we like to come out, walk, give them some exercise. Both of them kept sniffing down the hill we were on into this holler. Hey guys, come on. We're going this way. Quiet. This way. They're off the scent now, obviously. But I just happened to look down and see it. Not exactly what I wanted to see. Looking for sheds. This ain't a shed. Where is he at? Oh, yeah, I'm right on him. Not a shed. And from up top, he looked like he's pretty good and wide. A lot of people said Junior looked sick the other day. Might be him. Come on, guys. Lord have mercy. That's him. Well, y'all, that was kind of gruesome. That's Junior. He didn't make it very far. We're less than 100 yards from where I saw him. So he was sick and injured. Bo, your nose got it. All right. Well, that's the end of Junior. Don't know who we're going to chase now.
So as you can see, I walked the dogs along, and we came up to the buck, and sure enough, yeah, it was Junior. Junior had died in the clearing, and come to find out, he died right in front of the trail camera. I'm talking trail camera tree, him and the coyotes fighting right here in front. I have 47 photos. I won't show you all of them, but I have enough to show you the story, and so you can see. Monday was the 16th, I believe. That 2:30 that following morning. So, Monday at like 10 a.m., Tuesday at 2 a.m. kind of deal. He had gotten pushed by the coyotes into the clearing right in front of the trail camera. It was like, the coyotes and the deer were going, we need to document this for Jonathan's sake. But they were there, 47 photos of the takedown in just a matter of minutes. He tried squaring off several times. And as you can see, I mean, he succumbed. The coyotes got him. They pulled him down. So he was legitimately, when I saw him on Monday and everybody's commenting, he looked sickly. Yeah, he was. He was definitely sickly. He was definitely in a position where he was hurting. And the coyotes caught wind of it and finished the job. I found him. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I want to grab him. I want to take the head. He's on my property. I've found and picked up and collected dead heads before, sheds before. They're on my land. When the head's already rotted and down to the skull, there's no question that, it died of natural causes. But in this particular case, I had filmed this thing 2 days before. I had chased him on camera the entirety of the season, going, all it takes is one person to question whether or not I was overly tempted, and ended up, succumbing to temptation and shooting this deer out of season and poaching it. So it's like, I got to cover my butt. So I called up the game warden. I said, I better find out, cover my butt. Plus, with him being sick and all, I didn't know if they wanted to test him for CWD, which is something they have detected in this county. See if he had any diseases or anything, see what they wanted to do, So I called him. I called them on Wednesday, and I didn't hear back from them until Thursday. And it was Thursday, like mid-morning-ish. I got a call from the game warden, and talked to him, told him the whole story, everything that went down, how, I seen him, I filmed him. I had, at that stage, went ahead and looked at the trail camera and saw that the coyotes took him down on camera. And I'm like, there's no question, I did not shoot this deer. And so he asked for pictures of the buck as it lied, dead there on the ground. So I sent him pictures. And he asked for some of the trail cam photos showing the coyotes taking him down. Then he issued me a possession permit, and I was able to collect and have some closure on my buck. I contacted Jody. Jody does my skull mount works for me. And talked to him about it. He wanted me to go ahead and take the hide off since he had been laying there for a couple of days. Let's just get that done, get, chunks of the meat off, so that way he can get it right to the boil, and, we forgo any stink or any problems associated with that. And when I skinned the deer, some things started to show themselves. Started to get more information, more pieces to the puzzle as to how come a big, mature, full-grown deer succumbed and went down to a couple of coyotes. So as y'all can see, he's wide. He's a big deer. But as I was skinning this deer, I started noticing spots on that nose where he got hit and got busted, where it was an infection. It was, like pus and stuff. And as Jody was boiling and coming through it, he noticed the same things that I did. Right there, you can see where it started eating away at the bone. You can see this. It's like a hole in the skull. And the bone was starting to grow around it. That was all infection. Here, where it ate away at the bone. Here, where it ate away at the bone. I kept his jaws, his lower jaw. And this is the right jaw right here. You can see where the infection ate a hole. And you can kind of see, it legitimately was eating through the bone, pushing the bone out. This deer was hurt. He was full of infection in his face. It had gotten into the bone and into the bloodstream. My best guess at this stage is that's what was wrong. When he had that fight, when he busted his face all up, it got infected. It got so badly infected, it got into the bloodstream, it got into his bone and into his bone marrow. And that's what he was suffering from. That's what he was dying from. And the coyotes caught wind of the infection, finished the job. But that's pretty telling. That's right near the brain. And when Jody boiled this deer up, he boils the flesh off the face, but there's still the brain matter inside the brain cavity, and not a lot came out, which is very unusual. Also, y'all can kind of see the nose. There we go. It's got a little bit of a crook to it, and like this whole jaw section right in here was very, very loose when it came out of the boil, which is another thing that's odd because that's actually all bone right through there. And Jody ended up having to glue a lot of his face back together. So, this guy, he was a warrior, and he basically broke his head fighting and got infection and just couldn't shake it. Because of that, this is the biggest 8-pointer that I have ever laid hands on. And y'all, show you this. He's big. The mass, the width, and just the length on everything is insane. In the end, God gave me the buck I was praying for. The Lord blessed, and I was able to harvest is kind of the wrong word, but kind of the right word. I was able to collect and put my hands on the biggest 8-pointer on my wall. And this guy is incredible. And not only was I able to collect him, but I also was able to say that I had a successful hunt because I seen him, I recorded him, I was able to observe him for 45 minutes in the light of day. I stalked this deer within 40 yards. The only aspect of the hunt that I did not get the opportunity to experience was the actual shot. I wasn't able to shoot him. But that being said, and kind of an example of how God's blessings don't always follow our game plan, but they always end up right. I got to watch him go down in front of my trail camera by coyotes, which is something you rarely get to see. All things I had never done before, all for a deer that's just, I mean, a legitimate trophy. So, as far as this buck goes, I did score him. As he sits, this is 125 1/8 of an inch gross score of an 8-pointer. I said that he was a 130-inch buck all along. Y'all can see we got this G3 coming up here that's about 6.5 inches long, 6.5, 7 inches long, something in that neighborhood. Kind of give you some comparison here. This is broken off. We've got 2.5 inches just right here. So if you imagine that we add another 4 to match this side, taking symmetry into account, which I know from trail cam pictures, it's pretty close. That'd put him at 129 1/8. So I wasn't that far off. I was about an inch off from what I said he was going to be to what he is. As far as width goes, I said this deer's got to be every bit 20 inches wide. From outside to outside, he is exactly 20 inches wide. His inside spread is 18.5. The length of his main beams on the right side is 21 1/4, and on the left side is 22 3/8. So just to give y'all some idea, I mean, we're talking 22 inches right here, 21 right here. The hip actually got worn and broken off a little bit too. G2s, I mean, we're talking 9.5 right here. And the circumference on this deer, 4 to 4.5 inches until you get out to about here. I mean, just mass all the way through. Just a big, solid, old trophy whitetail from the state of North Carolina. I couldn't ask for anything more. That's the end of my story. As you can see, Junior is in a place of honor. He's in my biggest bucks here in North Carolina, and he's, I mean, right here, dead center, right up front to show y'all. You know, I feel blessed, beyond blessed. I mean, I had the opportunity to have all the aspects of a hunt, short of the actual pull of the trigger kill, and then the way he went down, the way he died is so unique that I had to share it with you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the story time. Hope you enjoyed the videos and the hunts and the pictures and just how this all went down, because this is just, like I said, it's so unique. God's blessed. As you can see, I mean, I've got some deer here that I've shot, and these aren't all the deer that, you know, I've shot. These are just my biggest. But this one, just, he means that much more to me, just in the way it all went down. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like and share the video with other folks. You know, the short, you know, kind of playing into this and how this all went down, but this is the full story. So, you know, hope you guys like it and hope you guys share it. This is the end of deer season as well. So not only is the story over, deer season's done. that was it. That was the end of the hunting. 2025 is in the bag, in the books. Moving on. Turkey season is coming up. We're going to be starting to show y'all some videos from last turkey season that I wasn't able to get done and out in time. So we'll kind of get y'all started by sharing last year's turkey hunts, a couple of those, and then we'll get into the turkey hunting as it happens. We do have some bow reviews and some gun reviews that are going to be coming up on the channel. And of course, you know, I love to fish, and I haven't been able to get out yet, but hopefully that's in the plans for the future as well. So hope you like everything you see. Hope you like the channel. Please subscribe, like, comment, share. And this is Jonathan with Pinnacle Outdoor Traditions telling you to get outdoors, make some traditions of your own. That means get outside and have some fun. Learn these outdoor skills and enjoy God's creation. And we'll see y'all in the next video. Bye. This last target, I'm going to be shooting these guys right here. They should light up, show up a little bit better. But we're going to be aiming for the middle of the big block on the bottom. Just try and group down there, see if we can hit the center. Still practicing, still learning. Sight is set at 60. See what we can do. That looked pretty darn good. That looks like a bullseye to me.